everyone. Welcome to another awesome day of FileMaker training. I'm Richard Carlton here with some awesome goodies today. Once again, today is Monday for those of you who missed the memo. So welcome to fmtrain.tv, where every day, Monday through Friday, we are doing some kicking FileMaker training. It's pretty awesome. Now, today is kind of an outlier, so we're going to talk about that here briefly. Let me hit the button and go to fmtraining.tv. So today is going to be on SEO. And the reason this is relevant is that a lot of you here, it's really not a FileMaker topic. It's not about FileMaker so much today, but a lot of you here run a business, run an organization, and especially if you're doing, you're building a vertical market application with a FileMaker platform, some of you are in that camp. And one of the things I always talk about is, do you have a go-to-market plan? And we say, we don't tell you how to do it. And really, even in today's conversation, I'm going to kind of steer you in a direction, but it's kind of a big conversation, right? It's not something we can cover in 1 hour. Today is kind of an overview and give you some direction and guidelines, but it's not really everything you need to know about SEO in 1 hour and 60 minutes, right? There's a limit to how much we can spew in 1 hour, but the goal is to give you a good steer. So that's today. One of the things that came up was that we are going to be going into public beta on FM Starting Point 2022. It's the standard version. We did the light version, which was the basic one, but now we've got the standard one and the enhanced one. We've gone through, worked out the QuickBooks integration on it to make sure that was largely useful and functional. So we're going to start a public beta on a Friday. So Friday is going to be open Q&A, but it might be directed a little bit more at the free CRM FM Starting Point. As a reminder, if you want to support the channel, if you go to fmtraining.tv, you can come over here to bundles and purchase one of our bundles. We really appreciate when you do this. A lot of you do this. It helps keep the lights on. It pays the bills so I can write a check to pay for all this stuff. So, and we're going to obviously update things as we go along, update the training, improve the training as things come out with Claris Studio. We're covering the updates as Claris rapidly, through agility and speediness, they come out with updated versions of Claris Studio, etc. We're going to cover that generally on Fridays. I don't foresee a major update change coming on this coming Friday. We kind of covered it this last Friday, but Starting Point probably open Q&A. Also brings up an important thing. If you have an idea or topic, send an email to support@rcconsulting.com, support@rcconsulting.com. We have 3 days of localization videos, strategies coming up. That's because of Michelle Gravel. And conveniently enough, Nick knows a lot about localization. So that's pretty awesome. So let's dive into this today. So I am going to bring up a PowerPoint here. I'm going to flip it up here to the beginning and I'm going to play through this. We're going to go through this. If you have questions along the way, feel free to throw the questions out. If the questions are on topic, I'm going to hammer them. But the goal is to kind of get you educated. So the basics of SEO optimization. There's nothing basic about SEO. Absolutely, there's nothing basic about it. And so that's kind of the topic today. So how do so up front, let me just say that 95% of our topics here are FileMaker related. This is business related. Everything about, we do FileMaker not to do FileMaker. I do FileMaker and I do Starting Point to propel business forward. FileMaker is the best product for helping most small businesses, even medium and large businesses, do this, solve business problems. So that's why I use FileMaker. But if there was a better product, I'd use it. So most of our topics are about FileMaker, but sometimes we talk about things that help your organization. And so that's kind of what today is about. Keep in mind that Friday, while we normally give a lot of free stuff away, Friday, public beta for Starting Point is our plan to start with that. So more free stuff on Friday. Today is a free steer for you, and some tips and things that you can do, but it's basically to educate you on something you probably don't know too much about. So today's guest, this is Doug. Doug is actually was working for a fairly large training company, and his company was, as it turned out, bought and sold and conglomerated together with another company, and they decided that they didn't need SEO. Well, they don't think they need SEO. They really need SEO. But in the meantime, Doug is going to be picking up some other contract work. So Doug is the secret sauce, secret weapon of why you see RCC all over the internet. Partly because we get kicked and we do a great job. And a lot of you people watching us talk about us and tell people about us. It's greatly appreciated. Doug is the other reason for this. So he is like our superhero kind of guy. And we're going to everything I'm going to talk about today, I learned from him. So So this is Doug. He's wearing a Superman cape. He does superhero grade stuff. Just for the fun, if we have questions along the way, Doug, are you there, Doug? Do we have you on the live stream?
Yes.
Good. So Doug
Hi,
is here.
Richard.
Cool. Hey, so cool. So I'm going to run along the slideshow, and Doug will get more involved as we get into questions and answers along the way. So real quick, so as a business professional, let me just state this up front. Most of all of us are swamped and are busy doing things. We don't have time to deal with peripheral kind of things. The rub is SEO. You think of it as a peripheral item. I mean, so for example, I'm talking to Doug. Doug says, hey, Richard, I need you to do XYZ to help with our placement on the internet. And I go, Doug, I'm too busy. This happens all the time. He's always beating his head against the wall, trying to get us to help ourselves, only because we're so busy, if that makes sense. So I assume that I'm busy. I'm assuming most people are busy. If you're sitting around doing the backstroke in your personal indoor pool and you got nothing to do, then you can learn this skill set for yourself. The question is, do you need SEO, right? And so how are people discovering your business? Once again, if you're making vertical market software, I guarantee they're not discovering it unless you go to trade shows. But with COVID, a lot of trade shows went away, and that's starting to change and come back, right? Conferences and shows are coming back. But really, the internet is kind of where it's all at. But clearly, if you're a cafe on the street, people driving by see the cafe, see a nice cafe, nice people with smiles. They're going to go in there and have a coffee and a sandwich or whatever they're going to do. And then good customer service will get them to tell their friends about it. That's how that works. But that's not a lot of people here. A lot of us here have other businesses we're part of. If you're part of a government or state organization where driving customers to you is not a concern, then maybe this conversation is not applicable. But I know a lot of you people here building vertical market applications. You thought about doing it. I've spent probably about one day every 7 or 8 months talking about the things you need to consider as you build a vertical market application. And the biggest one is, what is your go-to market strategy? What is that, right? Let's talk about an example, not a cafe, but a business. This is a real business. So we're going to talk about real nuts and bolts. And it's a regional business, which comes up. It's kind of an important concept. So this is a company that actually even Doug helped this organization. So this is Sierra Bravo Aviation. This is not my organization. It's people I know in the San Francisco Bay Area. I've actually flown their aircraft before. In fact, they called me this morning. We were talking to them this morning. And so they are a company called Sierra Bravo Aviation, or AV.com. So if you see the link down there, that's them down here. So if I type Sierra Bravo Aviation helicopter in the internet, it comes up. As it turns out, Sierra Bravo Aviation is not the most unique term on the planet. There's 3 or 4 aviation companies with that name. If I was going to build a name from scratch, I would pick something a little bit more unique. And so this is the website right here. When you go to the website, this is an animated video, or a video that plays kind of loops, right? That kind of thing. And the whole idea with this company is that they provide, you don't see it in this picture, but if you go to other parts on their website, they put a camera ball turret, right? Like a news camera, a TV news helicopter. They bolt that on the front of the helicopter, and there's a big control thing that they sit in the back seat, and so the pilot's flying along, and they're shooting 8K, not 2K video, not 4K video, not 6K video, 8K video out the front of this thing, like beyond Hollywood production quality video. The stuff ain't cheap. And with helicopters, you still need them because drones can't go most important places because of restricted or controlled airspace. So this is kind of their situation. So factors to consider if we were talking to them. The customer, for the Sierra Bravo Aviation, their customers are other businesses. It's generally a big ticket item. It's not a coffee. It's not a sandwich, not a cafe on the street. So that's one factor. Another factor is they are regional, not worldwide or nationwide. So if you wanted to do a cinema photography in New York or Dallas or LA or Seattle or Miami, some other location, you would hire a local company probably, because it's not going to be cost effective for you to hire that company and have them fly their helicopter across the United States. Take them 2 or 3 days to do that at least, and you're going to write a big check to cover that. So probably you're going to do regional. So this is a business situation where they're regional. So for example, one of you once upon a time did some work with a massage business, right? And if you remember who that is, that's fine. And that person, the massage business, I think they were regional. I don't think they were nationwide. So that's an important consideration because, for example, when I do FileMaker training, it's worldwide, right? It really is worldwide. And that makes it a lot more competitive and difficult to get the attention you need to get. If you were just doing FileMaker training and it was regional, very, very regional, the internet didn't exist. This is like, say, as we're back in the early 1990s. Of course, then you wouldn't be buying SEO anyway. But if you were running commercials or advertisements, say in the yellow pages, that's that book that the phone companies used to put out. For those of you who don't know what that is, the yellow pages, right? Then we would do in-person training classes within the San Francisco Bay Area. We would be regional at that point. So for these guys, business to business, regional, walk-in traffic's not a concern. No one's going to come in there and say, yeah, we'll pay you $4,000 an hour, $3,000 an hour, whatever their hourly rate is to shoot 8K video from a helicopter. Once again, like I said, it's not cheap. In fact, the camera on the front of the helicopter is worth more than the helicopter is, if that tells you how expensive the camera is. So these folks happen to be located in the San Francisco Bay Area. So they need to compete on Google in the Bay Area, but not worldwide or not nationwide. That's an important consideration. So let's talk about, so we come to the conclusion they need some SEO. Let's talk about terminology. So real quick, Facebook is Facebook. Facebook is interesting because of politics that surround Facebook. And I would simply just tell you this, is that Facebook is not the end-all be-all for marketing. For example, I don't use Facebook at all because Facebook does some really slithery that I don't like in terms of the way they try to market to me. They sell my material. They actively sell. You can't opt out with Facebook. If you use Facebook, they're going to take your material. They're going to sell it, okay, to other people. I try to limit that. Blatantly being done. So what we're going to do is we're going to focus on the conversation on Google. So Google basically is a de facto standard. If anyone ever sues Google about being a monopoly, they would win instantaneously. The Department of Justice goes out and sues Google. Google does 4 million searches per minute. People worldwide, 4 million per minute. That's a lot of horsepower and a lot of activity. Let's talk about search term. A search term, AKA kind of a keyword. These are things that you want to be associated with your website. So in the case of our example with Sierra Bravo Aviation, helicopter, cinema photography, Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area, those would be the phrases that would go together in that area. So then what happens is Google works out a search ranking. This is essentially the score or the points that you have that results in your placement on the search results, right? So you kind of understand that. We're going to get into this a little bit more. Understand there's also paid placement. Depending upon the search term you're looking for, you can write a check and pay for that. My company has done that at one point where we were trying out how the paid ads were going. We were paying $1,500 a month for that, and we would have paid placement. Right now, we're doing things differently. We're doing most of our work with organic SEO. So organic, actually, it takes a lot more work. In fact, it can be more expensive or less expensive. It depends, I think. But organic is where Google naturally evaluates you, and they put you on the search results. So if you type FileMaker training, right, where does RCC come up? And so you have a choice between paid placement and organic placement. Realistically, both are going to take time and or money. It can be one or the other, depends on what you have, right? So SEO is the process of adjusting your website and your online content in such a way to improve your organic placement, right? You can get into a conversation about trying to, do more with paid, because paid gets very complicated. Like you'll have someone do a search for you, then you tag them with a cookie, and then every time they come back, Google hits them with, like, say I do let's say Stu is going into business providing water-based training, water survival training, because he was part of the Navy, right? So there he is. So he's going to do water training with people building cruise ships or something, whatever. And so he provides that training. Well, he's going to look for keywords that have to do with his search terms. And it's important that these keywords are things that he wants to be placed on. He wants to be associated with these keywords. Regional keywords are easier regionally, right? Worldwide keywords are harder. FileMaker, for example, CRM. Just try the word CRM. Do a search on that. the ad placement on that is really, really, really expensive on that. And so we're going to talk about that. So Google has a formula, okay? Once upon a time, this was their formula. Their formula is much more advanced than this now. It's always changing. People there, we know there's a formula. Google knows that they know there's a formula. There's probably only a handful of people that, probably 20 or 30 people at Google who are PhDs who really are in the middle of this, and a handful of their programmer types. So if you went to a Google employee, most of them won't even know this. This is like seriously the secret sauce, and they're always tweaking it, adjusting it, right? And so the goal is for you to kind of keep in mind that whatever you're doing now that's successful now in terms of your placement might change in the future. SEO experts like Doug we have here today become experts through hard work, and it's a full-time job. It's a full-time job. I can't learn SEO on the side and do enough to really help RCC because I already have a full-time job. So that's kind of the thing with that. It's like being a FileMaker expert. It takes years to figure it out. And it's a constantly evolving skill set. Like FileMaker over the years has gotten better and different, and the way you connect it with APIs and curl and other things like that. That's it's always changing. It's always improving. It's always getting better. Keep in mind, there's a lot of two things you'll see. A lot of emails you'll see from people. I'm going to promise you you'll be on the first page 1 results within a week if you hire me. Okay. So you have sales weasels that will promise you the world if you give them $500 or something. There's also tools out there that SEO experts will use to help spread the awareness of your website, right? And so those tools, depending upon how the algorithm is working with Google, some tools that work great don't work anymore. Someone creates a new tool that helps spread the word of what you're doing. For example, a single tool would be if Stu creates a press release announcing that his most amazing training is now been certified by Coast Guard, and now he's a certified Coast Guard training person. He puts that in the press release. He hires an SEO person like Doug, and Doug takes that and puts that on a press release service that distributes it, right? So that is a tool that takes your press release and distributes it, gets it out there to a lot of people. When you do that, that actually does help your search ranking, right? And so, yeah, once again, keep in mind that Google, the formula is always changing. So the tools that we use, the tactics we use, the techniques we use are always changing. This is a late ad on a slide. I want to point this out that as Google reviews your website, they're going to there's a bunch of different scoring. It's way too complicated to cover in a 1-hour conversation, but they score your website on its speed, on its adaptiveness, responsiveness. Responsiveness is the word you use. So if you take a website and you display it on an iPhone, it works great on iPhone, it works on an iPad, it works on a desktop computer. That's called responsive. In the old days, we only built pages that worked on computers because we didn't have phones on the internet. And so anymore, you absolutely have to make sure your site is responsive. If it's not responsive, so they have a bunch of scores. How fast is your site? If you have a really slow website, you're going to be penalized. Is it responsive? Are you seen as an authority in the world of your keywords? So Stu says water, survival, overboard water rescue. Those are keywords that Stu likes because he's in the Navy, right? Was in the Navy, he's retired. Does Stu what is Stu's authority on that? Google tries to establish that you are an expert. They literally try to do this. So has Stu published blogs? Has he done videos? Obviously, as you can tell with RCC, we do a ton of videos. In fact, we do fewer blogs, but we do a ton of videos. We do a video every day. And so for your SEO person, like we work with Doug, right, that gives them a lot of content, a lot of ammo, right? So once again, this is like your internet SEO gun. I hate to use a gun metaphor. I'm having your SEO gun, and every time I shoot a video, I'm putting a bullet into Doug's gun so he can use it to help get the word out about what RCC is doing in terms of the FileMaker platform. And so because we generate so much content, my budget on a per month basis on creating videos and stuff is well above $20,000 a month per month, right? And so for us, it's kind of easy because we generate so much content. In your business, if you're not generating content, you need to think about generating some content because your SEO person can only do so much if you give them no bullets, right? No bullets means, what can they do with that, right? So your SEO person, if you're working with them or you end up talking to Doug for some reason, they're going to say, hey, have you shot any videos? Have you written any articles or stories or whatever, right, about your topic? So Google can see that you're an expert, right? Very, very, very important. So let's talk about this, a couple other things here. Process of adjusting your website. So here is the search term we're going to use: helicopter cinema photography, San Francisco. And when you do that search as of Saturday, Saturday, whenever I did the screenshots for this, when you do that search, number 3 is Sierra Bravo Aviation. So this is the company over here. Number 1 and number 2 are other companies that have done better with their SEO. Now, Sierra Bravo Aviation is actually a part-time operation. It's not a full-time operation. So for them to be number 1 was not really the biggest concern on the planet. They just wanted a website. They wanted to actually place, and they're number 3 without a lot of effort. This is a generic search results page right here. This is what you're going to see is Google tweaking the response. It's still all organic, so there's no paid ads in here, but they start to juice it up. So here's organic number 1 response, then they put a little map so you can pick it as if you're just going to walk over to the airport and climb over this security restricted fence and go visit these people, okay? Because a lot of them are based at airports. You have to have TSA security credentials to get through there, right? I'm a pilot. I have those credentials, but most people don't do that. So this actually, at the end of the day, doesn't make a lot of sense. Here you have a drone company trying to horn in on the action, so that's interesting. If I click it again and we slide up, see, there they are again, like the third one down, Sierra Bravo Aviation. So what Google does is they take their organic search results and or even paid results, and they kind of reformulate it to make it more engaging. And so then there's this line right here, and then they displayed all the results we saw on the previous page in the same order, right? I'm not quite sure how this one here and this one here appeared above, but here it's Sierra Bravo is still number 3. Here they are, we're number 3 right here. So that's not bad for a part-time guy who doesn't particularly care, but it's kind of a narrow niche market. There aren't a lot of A, people with helicopters, B, people with $500,000 cameras hanging off the front of their helicopter, right? 8K, Hollywood, Steven Spielberg hanging off the front of their helicopter. It's kind of unusual. So it's not like a really busy market. Notice that when we did the search, we didn't have any paid ads. Well, what happens if you see a high traffic area like Google sees something like, I want to take a tour of San Francisco, helicopter tour of San Francisco. Well, funny enough, that is a very high traffic topic. It's one that the company that I work with, or Sierra Bravo Aviation, the folks that I talk to, they don't do tours really. But I've met this guy, I met this CEO. He's an interesting character. Notice on this page, when I did a search, ad. So what you'll see is Google will sell ad space to these organizations. The ads appear with the dollar amount that Google is getting from them as a general rule. So if you click this ad right here, it might cost these people $1, $2, or $3 for you to even click it. If you even click it, it went cha-ching and it deducted off their credit card or whatever they paid. Down here, maybe this was $1.50, maybe it was $1, maybe it was $1.75. And so what Google does, they'll do 3 or 4 paid ads at the top, maybe 3 or 4 paid ads at the bottom. And in between, they'll put the organic search results because they figure those are still important. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to press the button here. It's going to slide up. We'll see the organic search results. And you come down here and you see these companies here, which are not ads. They're once again local. Now on a tour, helicopter tour, probably you can walk over there and go in there and you see the helicopter, you can pay someone, they'll give you a tour of the helicopter with the helicopter. So that would make sense in this sort of situation. So understand that Google changes their formula, they refactor how the pages look, and they will mix paid ads and organic placement simultaneously on the same page. So important considerations for your SEO checklist. So is there a genuine demand for Google search terms associated with? So stews, water survival, whatever, water survival seems like something that people would type on. If you're talking about blue tinting for 78 Camaros as your search term, because you're going into the window tinting business and you want, if anyone types Camaro 78 blue tinting, that's so obscure that white almost no one's ever going to type that, right? In fact, that's the thing when you work with a SEO a legit professional like Doug, you could give him the terms and he will come back to you and tell you how many hits come up with that. They will say, oh, blue 78 Camaro blue tinting, that's been clicked on twice in the last year. Right? So someone searched on it twice. Or if you say something like iPhone case with a battery in it or something, that's only searched on about 100 times every 5 minutes, right? High traffic topic. So keep that in mind. What do I need the SEO for? Is there a specific business objective? You're trying to drive people to your website. You're trying to get them to contact you, reach out, some sort of business thing. Am I treating SEO as investment? SEO audits, keyword search, generating content, technical improvements. These are all things that take time and money. It's not a one-person job. What I will say is that with RCC, I use about a quarter or a third of Doug's time. So Doug is a full-time person, and he's in a midst of changing from companies and companies of what he's doing. And so he's actually available, which is why I brought this up, because a couple of you might actually want to do this. I hired Doug about, I don't know, about 20% of his time during the course of the month, maybe 30% of his time over the course of the month. And that's plenty for what RCC needs, right? But it's not I'm going to spend $200 one time and you're done forever. It's something that even if you have a small business, you're going to need to put a little bit in on a periodic basis to keep your placement where you want it to be. It's an important thing. Are my intentions realistic, right? Once again, if you're trying to, if the helicopter guys, right, like type CRM. If I just go to, I'm not going to do it right now, but type CRM into a Google search, and it is a knife fight. And I've looked at how to improve that in doing CRM, because really what we do is a FileMaker CRM or a Claris FileMaker CRM, but it's a free product. So how much am I willing to pay to send people to get my free product? It's like, right? So, but if it was like Salesforce, yeah, you'd be all over that. But in a lot of ways, Salesforce probably does really well organically, so people compete against them. And so we'll talk about that here in a little bit. Am I patient? SEO is a slow burn process. If you don't show up on SEO at all and you get an SEO professional involved, it will take, you might see some improvement immediately, but really to get where you want to be, it's multiple months of ongoing trickle of work, right? Every once in a while I hear this term called drip marketing. It's where you kind of drip to your customers, you drip. You need drip SEO is what you need. Slowly drip the SEO stuff, slowly builds you up, keeps you going. It's a slow investment that kind of goes on over time. It's in my experience, it's not a one-shot deal. Like that deal with the helicopter one, the Sierra Bravo Aviation, they were number one at one point. We did a little bit of SEO for them, and then they've slowly fallen down to number 3. I don't think they particularly care. 1, 2, 3, they're fine with that. But if they were off the first page, they might say, hey, Richard, we want to be on page 1 of the search results. That's frequently a big marker, especially depending on how competitive things are. You want to be on the first page. Very, very important. So let's talk about some basic tips. So I always like to give stuff away for free. So let me give you some tips that'll help you immediately. And these are even things like we were reviewing this today, and there are a couple websites at RCC that are not quite as up to date as they need to be. So I was like, oh, so there is source data on your page. If I go to, let me just pop this over here real quick. I'm going to bring this up. If I go to fmtraining.tv and I say, I don't even have that on here. Let me see, preferences. I got to turn on the developer menu. Okay. So you have a developer menu. It's the same as you have other places. What you can do is you can say, show me the page source. So it'll show you the page source over here. And what you have is a bunch of hidden data that's in here. And I can zoom in a little bit. This metadata in here is invisible data. So this data are the keywords and things that, and it's not secret, anyone can read this stuff, but these are the keywords that we think are important to us. There's also other areas in here where you can have the title and description. A lot of people have websites, and these hidden values are blank. And as a result of that, when Google comes to review you, they go, oh, this guy didn't give a guy or gal, didn't give a about filling in the basics, low score for you. Bottom of the search results, page 25, right? So you have to go down to page 25 at Google for you even see yourself. So as a basic hot tip, and it's generic for all these items that I'm about to pop up on here, is that you need to seriously think about going to the metadata, the hidden data on your website, and getting it set up, getting it set, putting it, filling it. Let's start with filling something in, because a lot of it will be blank when you first build it. Because here's the thing, why put the data in if you can't see it? Because the public doesn't see it. That stuff over here is not seen by anyone else. So if you're a developer or you're a website person and you're trying really hard to get it done, fast, get it done. I'm already behind the deadline, got to get it done. You get to this part here, it's like, who needs that? Don't bother with it. Well, Google cares about it. So most of you, it'll be blank for a vast majority of people. Now, there's some other stuff in here about making sure that a lot of people put images on their website, and you may or may not want to geotag your Latin long on there, but you definitely want descriptions in there, or the alt description in your images, things like that. These are all important things. And then also along the way, you want to create blogs and videos that will help you if you get involved with an SEO person. So let me just briefly talk about what we do and some of the experience that we've had. So this is Doug, and I'm giving you a bunch of information. If you want to go talk to Doug, I am not involved in any way with this. I am doing a free thing for a guy who really kicks. And like I said, the training organization he was with was bought out, sold out, and merged with another company. And I think for the moment they've eliminated this position, the SEO position, because it was such a big company. We're talking hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. It's a full-time job. I have actually conveniently, while Doug was working for us, but essentially a full-time job as a contractor. We hired him for a slice of time in there, and he's helped us. I met at Apple Inc. At one point, people that were his job before Claris went through a reorganization. I'm sure this person's been let go, but the SEO people at Claris. And what I was finding out is that my SEO guy was fighting with their SEO people, and you're like, well, how do you fight with someone, right? And so what happens is that down here you have these hidden keywords, right? And notice it says FileMaker this, FileMaker this, FileMaker this. You don't see a lot of the word Claris in here, okay? That's one of the things that's going to have to change. I got to put the word Claris in here because that's a new thing, right? Well, the people at Apple employees were putting my name in their keywords. I was like stunned. I'm like, and so what happens is if you start to rank really good, your competitors will use your name in their keywords to help them lift themselves up. So I guess it's all fair and turnabout and stuff, but it's literally the Wild West, right, out there with the world of electronics. And so what you put in there, you can use Apple, you can use Claris. I know other competing companies will a lot of times put our stuff in there to help them out. That when they do that, that's telling you that you're doing a good job. In this case, Doug is doing a good job over that way. So what I want to tell you is that if you don't have any budget, you don't have any money, and you're just throwing this stuff together, you probably shouldn't get professional help. But if you are an organization and you need SEO, or you have a group of people, you can set some budget aside. You need to look at talking to someone like Doug. The only reason I'm talking to you about Doug is because I've worked with him for like 10 years. But yeah, this guy kicks ass. Doug is based in Santa Rosa, California. Not that I think he necessarily likes it there. It's a nice place. Catches on fire once or twice a year. That kind of sucks. But very sharp individual. So, Margaret, we have questions going on at all?
We do. We do. We got a couple.
Yes.
Would this content need to be public, like YouTube videos that are unlisted versus public videos?
Yeah, it has to be searchable and publicly findable. I mean, one of the things that goes on is that, say, for example, I publish a YouTube video, and then someone says they really like the YouTube video, and they post a link about it other places, say, hey, Richard, for example, there was a video we just did that should be publicly accessible. We did a video. Someone asked me the other day a video about how do I trust a Claris FileMaker platform with my investment dollars? They want to build a software vertical market software solution. They're talking to Fortune 500 companies in this vertical space, has to do with some very technical manufacturing. And they want to know if they can trust the Claris FileMaker platform with millions of dollars of their investment. And I had to address and answer that question. The video was initially unlisted. Now it's public. I've come out with it. Margaret, if you can find the link for that, that's fine. I answered it accurately and as good as I could. And I think it is a thing you can trust. But the point is that video, someone says, hey, that's really a great video. Let me share that. They post it somewhere else on an online thing or a message somewhere else. And so Google sees other people talking about your content. They monitor all that. And as they see that, they would go, oh, that video that Richard did must be a good video. Let me give it some points, some authority points, right? And so that's what happens with it, right? I mean, the problem is you just can't generate content. You have to generate content that people want to see, they want to like. If it's unlisted, I don't know that helps us too much. Doug, do you have an opinion on that?
Yeah, that's not really going to help you much.
Yeah.
It's all about the tags. It's all about the title for YouTube videos.
The title and tags, and it has to be publicly accessible for the most part. So
Exactly.
okay.
Some sites have a hidden page which fill search engine criteria like hashtag low code program, hashtag rapid development, etc. If you have a keyword that directs you to a different page in Google, can you write them to correct it?
Google's algorithm is automatic, and so can you write an email to a human to have them fix your shit? No, you'd fix it on your page. Eventually, Google would catch up with updating it. If you're Apple and you want to fix something with Google, I'm sure they could make a phone call, but at the pay grade of which I think most of the people here are with, I don't think any of us here are billionaires, and I mean that seriously. Unless you're a billionaire, don't expect to call Google and get a personal person who can fix their search engine. I think what you do is you're going to correct it on yours, and then you can go to Google and say, hey, crawl. It's called crawl. It's a little robot, and they crawl through your site and they read everything. But keep in mind that putting hidden text in, right? They see that. They can actually, their stuff is getting smart. Remember we talked about that formula. It's getting smart to the point where they can tell it's not humanly visible. They actually can not only not give you points, they can deduct points for that stuff. So you got to be careful with that.
Anytime that you change the content on your website, Google's going to come back and run the bot on it. The bot will come anywhere between 4 and 30 days. If there's no content at that 30 days, they'll go ahead and just pass it by.
Okay.
But if there is new content, they'll bring it all up and go back into, putting it on the search engine.
Okay. So they reprocess it and reevaluate it, right? So,
exactly. Total new evaluation.
Yep. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's what goes on with that, right? And so once again, if you don't have any blogs or videos or anything like that, that'll be harder. If you're regional, that's easier, right? Doug and I, we've talked about regional stuff, right? Regional is very much easier to deal with because you're not in a knife fight with worldwide people, right?
So. Yes. Local is pretty easy compared to what I'm doing for Richard.
Yeah. I've heard people create a page that is not linked inside the site and has all the criteria for Google. Yeah, I mean, there's obviously, once again, just keep in mind that how often is the Google algorithm changing? I think it changes damn near weekly, but keep in mind that what you heard 6 months or a year ago may not be valid anymore, right? Doug, what's your official opinion of hidden pages that Google sees, right?
Yeah, I don't think that's a thing, because what Google's looking for is you to have on-page SEO, which is actually making links to like your services page or your About Me page or contact page. It's all about internal linking to other pages on your website, and they give you good points for that. So you're getting some good stuff out of that.
Yeah. So if you have a properly built page with a contact about this page, contact services, kind of that boiler template that you think about in terms of a website, those pages all cross-link to each other, and then putting the metadata in there. I can't tell you, even when Doug was going through our websites initially, it was like painful because it's like this, we had to restructure back to like a normal structure that Google could understand. Well, I want to be creative and I'm going to do it this other way. Okay, guess what? Google doesn't give it what you want. They're going to evaluate it per their algorithm. And if you get too squirrely with it, they're just not going to rank you and you're not going to show up. So it's kind of one of those kind of deals, right? So,
That's exactly right. It's going to penalize you instead of helping you out.
I think you could, budget wise, people ask me about budget on this stuff. I pay quite a bit per month, but I think people could pay $300 or $400 or $500 a month, depending upon how big the business is, and they could get a lot of bang for their buck on that. My budget is more than that, but once again, I have a larger organization. We have 30 staff, etc., and SEO is one of the biggest ways of us being found. We used to do paid ads. We don't do the paid ads anymore, right? It's all organically done. So,
And you're worldwide, not regional.
yeah,
So it
not
does
regional,
cost more.
worldwide.
Yes.
So it's a big, and if we don't keep it up, then someone else comes in there, and you'll see some other, FileMaker video about this, that, or the other thing, right? So once again, that's why we continue to create the content and to make sure that the content is properly tagged with the proper names, proper descriptions. What is proper naming and proper description depends upon what your keyword is, right? What does Doug think of apps that help you help with SEO, like WordPress installations for generation and optimization?
Those are pretty general. You will have some WordPress apps that help you with schema. Schema is a big part of the Google ranking stuff. And
Can you
so
explain schema real quick? Why don't you just loosely up in the air, what is schema?
schema is, if you go to schema.org, schema is a code that tells Google everything about your business. You have to generate this. It even goes into your social media and to a lot of different points of your business. And once that's on your website, Google can actually, search your website and see it, and it tells them a lot of stuff about the website. This is, pretty much the thing that'll really help out. Schema helps out a lot of businesses right off the bat.
Yeah.
Then there's a more advanced schema that if you go here, you're getting the basics. And anymore, like the WordPress, they have some basics, but it's not really going to help you a whole lot, but it will help you. There's other things that can be done in the schema to make it more advanced for Google.
Yeah. So once again, it depends on how much time you have in your life to chase this down. I don't have the time, so I say, Doug, go deal with it. And then he comes back and says, Richard, go fix the webpage, change this. And when you submit a video to YouTube, make sure you include this. I'm like, okay. So it's kind of one of those things where there's a lot you can do. It depends if your business depends upon it. If your business makes money and your discoverability, like if you have some exclusive contracts, like Stu gets an exclusive contract for water survival with the US government, he doesn't have to worry about this. But if he's going out to the public and he has to be discoverable by the public, like AKA Claris Incorporated or Claris International has to be discoverable by the public, then they're going to have to put some money into this and invest in this, right? And so it's an important thing. Like, for example, Claris is a perfect example of a business that's not well known, and they need to invest in something. This would be part of it very, very heavily. Because if you type in low code, things like that, they don't come up. They don't come up because they haven't probably made this investment, right? Would be my guess. I don't know when they'll make the investment, but Apple, on the other hand, Apple has huge SEO teams, and their job is mostly to protect their kingdom. They've already established themselves as a market leader. Their job is to protect the trademark and to continue to occupy those top spaces that they have. On the other hand, like Claris, you do a search for low code. Like if we do a search over here for low code, this ought to be good. Low code app. Okay. So here's what we get. We get a paid ad here, paid ad here, paid ad here, paid ad here. The first organic one is this thing called Mendix, whatever that is. Remember, a lot of these companies they don't even make a profit. So just keep that in mind. We had this conversation the other day. Someone said, hey, you got to use this at the company. They never made a profit ever. They're a $10 billion company. I'm like, what? Right? So $10 billion of monopoly money. They're right? That kind of thing. So then here's a website that says it's probably someone paid to build this, right? Obviously, software testing help to test 10 best low-code platforms. Wink, wink, and you had to pay to get on that list, right? Probably. PC Magazine might be a little more straight up. There's Gardner, right? So is Claris even here? Is that important? I don't know. But this is the kind of stuff that Claris is a perfect example of a company that needs to have a big footprint in the market. I could say low-code platform or low-code software. So this is a different one. Now this ad is a different one, and I guarantee that these ads, these paid ads in here, these paid ads. If I click on this, that's probably a $5 click. It's probably really, really expensive because this is worldwide and highly competitive, right? I'm using them as an example because if you're Apple, the rules are different, right, than the rest of us, I think, right? Or if you're a cafe on the street, the rules are different because you don't have to worry about it so much. You have to make a really wonderful little cafe and have it warm and snuggly and people there happy to help with smiles. And isn't it great to be here at the cafe? Wikipedia, which is interesting. They have a big entry there. I don't know. Somehow Amazon or Google thinks that's important. InfoWorld, Trio, Gardner, once again, you have to pay. That is paid. Okay, that is paid right there. Then you got a couple news stories. So it's such a high traffic area. It's like typing Bitcoin valuation. It's such a high traffic search that you start getting news stories behind it, right? And then you got Appian. That's organic. See, that doesn't say ad. That's a page one hit for Appian. Whoever's doing the SEO for Appian is kicking ass. In fact, that's Wiki, that's InfoWorld. They're not, I mean, that's just a thing. Trio Dev. So so this is a company. No, that's another listing. That's a listing of software platforms. So Appian, they're like one of the only organic ones on here. So whoever does their SEO, their equivalent of Doug on that team, they're probably big time, big money. The Appian's probably paying on a per month basis, 10 to 20,000 per month in SEO between the services and what they're doing, $10 to $20,000 a month. Because that's super competitive. It's like people always say, hey, I want the most experienced server person I can hire on the internet. Where should we go hire the most experienced server for the internet? Porn company. And people are like, what? Because that's such a huge business that the people who do servers and infrastructure in that business are the most experienced big time server architecture people, right? Seriously, it's crazy. So that's how that is. So, all right, cool. Yeah, Claris.
According to my source,
yeah, go ahead.
The low-code platform gets 1,600 searches a month, and it's $73.63 for a click.
Okay, but if I come over here and click on the paid ad, you say it's $63 to click that link?
$73.63.
See, that's what an SEO expert does. He's back there typing this shit in his tools because he's a professional, right? So he doesn't have time to do a bunch of people, but if you're one of the people watching the live stream, you need help with this, give Doug a call, above the fog SEO at gmail.com. Give Doug a call. Right. So would you say it's $73 and how many times do people do a search for this per month?
1,600.
1,600.
Yep.
That's not that many.
It isn't that many. I'm using a tool called Keywords Everywhere.
Okay.
There's a couple other cool tools that you could use.
Yeah. Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
$73. I'm blown away. I thought it'd be $5 or maybe $10. $73. Yeah, that's way too rich for my blood. Maybe that's why Claris isn't on here. They don't want to write a check for that. So the way this works on paid ads, so you know, is you say, this is my top bid for ad placement, and this is my entire budget. So what Google does is they will spit like $73 and $73 and $73 until you hit your budget max. Then they shut you off until your budget resets at the end of the month. That makes sense? So at one point, I think we were paying $1 or $2 for FileMaker training and stuff like that. We don't do it that way anymore just because, but if you go in here and you say, just for fun, we go say FileMaker developer. I'll try that, developer, okay? Key Logic wrote a big check for this, and they're fighting out with Beeswax, and they're fighting with Code and Scott Love's company for a big check, with Wim DeCourt and Bob Bowers' company for a big check. So these people here feel that they're better off doing paid ads than doing the SEO. I don't really worry about FileMaker Developer. It's not one we actually identify and target. For us, that's not important. But these other companies are like, yeah, I got to be there. Then the number one below this, number 1 and 2 organically are who? Claris. Makes perfect sense, except that they don't do development. Then there's Upwork, whoever the hell Upwork is, and ZipRecruiter. So you want to hire, like Kyle Williams is available on the business again. Look at the ZipRecruiter, 102 to 104,000. Okay, my laziest engineer makes, my laziest senior engineer makes that kind of money. All my senior engineers that are full time make more than that by quite a bit. Anyway, interesting, eh? Any other questions? So companies pay per click, yes, on paid ads. On organic, they don't pay at all. With organic, I pay Doug. Or an SEO professional, but Doug is one I can personally vouch for. Seriously, and I'm not literally, this is costing me time, costing me money. I'm getting zero out of this conversation other than me helping you folks. I love helping people. I love helping the people here. So just understand that I told Doug the deal was that we would do this. He can't work for one of my competitors directly. So if you're someone that I've mentioned in the name over there, he's not permitted to work with you. That was the deal.
So FileMaker CRM is $15.81 per click.
Per click. So that there's a fun one too. So if I do FileMaker CRM, so this is funny because if I click on, oops, sorry, my bad. I just cost someone $15. This is the company that runs ads on YouTube and all this sort of stuff, right? Is it a CRM? Yeah, kind of maybe. Is it dynamically really controllable and programmable? Probably not. But they're running ads on here to convince you that it's the best thing since sliced bread. So why aren't we on here, right? Because I don't want to pay $15 a click for someone to use free okay? People are like, why aren't you doing that, Richard? It's like, yeah, right. So eventually on here, you would run into FM Starting Point. There's a video from us. There's a video from Productive and a video from Claris. And so, hey, look at Productive.
Keep going, you're number 6.
Oh, see, but look here. These guys this is their paid CRM. See, look at, they're doing pretty good. That's Claris, then there, and then down. And then, there's Starting Point right there. Yeah, so we should be top 3, Doug. So this is why I have a meeting with Doug. Top 3, Doug. I need you to be top 3 on the Claris FileMaker CRM.
Put Claris in there in front of FileMaker CRM, and you'll see that you're number 9 on page 9.
Oh, really? Claris FileMaker CRM. So HubSpot, Panalign, Ketone, I don't know what they do. Caspio competing. There's Beeswax, right? They figured out it was easier to pay the ad than to actually do because doing it my way is much more work. Oh, wow. Well, only a little bit of Richard in here. Richard. Okay. And then Scarpetta, and then Richard. Yeah, so this is where Doug has been doing his job, but he gets paid for that. So yeah, if you're interested in getting some SEO help, check out Doug Yenshaw, abovethefog@gmail.com, and he can actually do an audit review of your stuff and look at it and see how he would suggest to help. Like I said, he doesn't have an endless number of cycles, but if you want help from someone who's not going to rip you off, I know.
Yes, I can do a free audit for your website and give you an insights about what needs to be changed. We can do it little bits at a time, or
little bits at a time,
whatever you want.
Or all of it on one pass, yeah. So, but little bits at a time. That way, it becomes a monthly budgetable item. It's one reason why I ask you folks to buy the bundle training, so I can pay for this stuff, right? So it keeps us in front of people. All right. Well, that's it for today.
That's one of the things that Google tells you about, is that being consistent with your information, changing things on your website.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of good points.
Okay.
That'll help boost your stuff.
Cool.
And a press release every couple months, or some authority stacking. There's a lot of things that we can do to bring you up a little bit at a time.
Doug or Duggar Inham on Twitch, Margaret. Which plugin is ideal for WordPress sites? Yeah, I don't have any recommendations on WordPress sites like that, Doug.
Yoast.
What'd you say?
Yoast.
Y-O-U-S-T?
Y-O-S-T. Well, U-S-T. Yeah, I guess you're right.
Okay.
I don't remember how it's spelled, but
okay. There's some out there. I would check review. Just keep in mind that most time when you see SEO people, it's like some random dude who doesn't, and there's no relationship there. Because with Doug, you're going to talk to him, you're going to build a relationship with him. So that's why I like that. So I'm just telling you, this is the dog food I eat, right? This is ruff ruff. I eat Starting Point, I eat FileMaker, I love it both. And I also eat Doug's dog food because it works good and it's tasty. So, it's tasty, works. I like that. All right, well, that's about all I've got.
Well, thank you for having me. Thanks, guys, for coming.
Yeah, that's good. I greatly appreciate it. You guys have a good one. We'll catch you tomorrow. Nick Hunter will be here with calendar action, some FileMaker hot, sexy calendar action with no SQL. Should be exciting. Catch you tomorrow. See ya. Got a report of an individual up here who may be a FileMaker license. Well, it's potentially expired. Look at the back of that car right there. Looks like the FileMaker license has expired. Sir, I need you to step out of the vehicle. Sir, step out of the vehicle. Sir.